go, let's go, let's go, let's go, no time to stay. There's no place for fear. Answers unveiled. All will be clear. No time to stay. There's no place for fear.
Hello and welcome to the first ever Eyes on Earth podcast. I am your host, Jared Molyneux, and today I would like to be giving you a slight introduction as into what exactly this podcast is before I, start actually delving myself into particular topics. This is just going to be a interesting ramble about what you'll see if you, continue to actually be interested after this podcast, which I hope you do. But I would like to open up some opportunities for myself. My channel, Game Conspiracy, if you are unaware, if you're possibly listening to this rather than watching it, I do theories on video games, such as Assassin's Creed, and I think I've done some on Call of Duty. Possibly might be delving into BioShock, I don't know. But this podcast is me switching it up a bit and kind of changing gears and talking about more topics rather than just about video games. Because if I'm being completely honest, I'm kind of tired of video games and the lack of information that you can get from staying just in the topic of games and conspiracies, Illuminati, Freemason information that you can get from that. But I want to go in deeper into more interesting, more important topics than just staying there. And yes, obviously those things, the information that you can get from there, that might be interesting and helpful information for you to come to know and recognize and get you to see a little bit more where this world is at, because that's what Assassin's Creed really did for me, is it got me to look and open my eyes a little bit about what type of world are we living in exactly and who's running the world. But as I have stated, I want to expand my horizons and talk a little bit more about other issues. This goes along with history. I think I've talked about history before, but I want to talk about history and how it relates to today, and such as Roman Empire. I've read actually quite a bit on the Roman Empire, and that's something I would love to actually start talking about, because the Roman Empire and comparing it to modern society is very similar. I'm talking about Roman Empire during 300 AD, just ancient Rome, not modern Rome, ancient Rome, and how it even transitioned to become modern Rome from, being a pagan country to becoming Catholic. I don't think a lot of people understand exactly how that happened. They're like, oh, okay, some guy named Constantine just came around. I guess he was Catholic and he accepted the Catholic faith. And then he's like, oh, yeah, I'm fighting for you guys. And then, Rome and Italy became Catholic. But there's a lot more to the story than, just that. So that is something I would like to get into. Once again, conspiracy theories. I'm not going to just leave conspiracy theories. I'll still be talking about them. Just that won't be my main focus. Politics. I'm not going to be talking about politics in agreeance, because I've had my fair share of falling for politics and believing that they were legit. Like, oh yeah, great presidents. I got into politics for a little bit. Actually, it's kind of ridiculous. Interesting story, but I'll be talking about more or less what is happening in politics, such as, Trump made a huge move. I would discuss that. So, I guess you could say politics/news. I guess that would even go around other things, not just politics, because news can even delve into, huge things that are going on, maybe a shooting, or what a lot of people like to call a false flag event. Once again, even natural disasters. I know a lot of people like, well, why would you talk about natural disasters? Well, for one, they're increasing exponentially, which, a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's global warming or something like that. But I feel like it's a far more spiritual matter. I 100% believe that it has to deal with basically the close of probation getting closer and closer. And close of probation, what I mean by that is God soon coming. There's just way too many signs. Technology has been increasing way too quickly. It is just, at this point, it's hard to see the world being different. Just even 50 years ago, people wouldn't have expected a lot of things that have happened in the past 50 years. And they're like, oh yeah, technology will increase. We'll have hoverboards. Yeah, I guess we have hoverboard-ish type of things. But they wouldn't have expected the type of ideologies and lifestyle that would have increased in that 50-year period. And just the issues that are coming about, such as, like I said, natural disasters, because they've been going up, up, way since the 1970s, I believe. They've been just increasing, and, that is something I would like to actually delve into, get into some statistics, show you guys, and, I don't know, just bring you guys along for an interesting little study, if you want to even call it that, on weather. People say weather's boring, but you never know. It can be exciting. It can be pretty exciting. Philosophy. I'll be discussing philosophy. So a lot of people use that to understand the world around us, and I would like to use that also to allow people to understand why I believe there's 100% a God. I actually have a friend that's probably more into philosophy than me, and he likes to use philosophy in explaining why he believes there is a God. I don't go straight to philosophy. I still use philosophy, but there's many things that I would like to discuss in that realm that explain why our world is the way it is. Obviously, philosophy can it can be distorted in a lot of ways. A lot of people can just get distracted with philosophy, along with conspiracy theories, for that matter of fact. People can just get too caught up. I think people could just get too obsessed with anything, even health, which I actually have written down on the list. So health. I will also be talking about health. Why do I concern myself with health? Well, first of all, I want to be healthy. And I would hope for you guys to want to be healthy, because it doesn't make sense to, want to live a lifestyle that is damaging your body. And I don't think we understand exactly what things around us exactly harm us in the ways that they do, or even believe that they do harm us. And I wouldn't like to just go into health just in, fitness and the food we eat, but also talking about psychological health and the interesting aspects of music, and how music affects us. Obviously, people can be like, oh, pop culture sucks. There's so much Illuminati stuff hidden in there. I'm not even talking about, people talking about sex and drugs. Yes, obviously that is terrible stuff already to be in music, and obviously, yes, there are Illuminati symbolism within a lot of the pop culture of today and rap music. But there's far more than that. There's far more. Because the way that the music is made also causes us to also, be affected. Dopamine release due to the very fast rhythmic beats caused in a lot of music that you can find. Not very helpful. I love you, Vosto. I love your music. You're great. I don't even know if you're listening to this podcast. He's a friend of mine back at Rec Network, and I guess you could say his channel, Games Exposed. But your music, man, it's not good. It's good. Like, I like your music, but from what I've learned about music and how your brain reacts to very fast rhythmic beats, your music is not good. But that's just a little, once again, peek as into exactly some things I would like to talk about. Science and technology. Science, obviously, I'd like to talk about different news that's coming out about science. Technology, we already know that it's increasing like crazy. It was just last year that a robot, AI robot, was given citizenship in, I believe, South Korea. It's ridiculous. It just blows your mind, and just watching some of the things that they're able to say, it's kind of crazy, because you don't think that they would be able to make that technology, Even when I was a kid, I thought that was just sci-fi. I didn't think that was possible. Like, maybe I did think it was possible, but I didn't think about it. I was just being a kid. I was like, this is a movie, this isn't real. But here we are, seeing a lot of these things that, we used to watch on TV, basically being built right in front of us. And it's kind of scary. It's kind of cool at the same time. It's cool. It's like, wow, they're building this. But at the same time, it's just freaky to have to see the type of technology and the advancements we're making. Once again, the improvements and the amount, we're developing way too quickly. Like, we're developing, and that's great. But at the same time, that, along with all the other world issues that we're having, along with weather just going up drastically, all these things being combined, for me, only just gives more evidence as into a problem that is more spiritual than, anything that we would think of. We just think it's an issue. Oh, there's a bunch of storms. Oh, they'll go away. Oh, global warming. Oh, yeah, it sucks. We need to be great humans to fix the world. No, sorry, the world's done. Not to, sound like I hate the world or something, but I completely believe that there is no hope for this literal world. I believe that there are hope for individuals that want to come to know God and Christ, but this world in itself, I believe, has no hope. It's going to be destroyed, and depending what side you choose, whether wanting to follow Christ and accepting his gift of forgiveness of sins, and not wanting to go back, because there's a difference between, oh, I'm sorry, God, and then just going back to your life. That's not forgiveness. That's just, saying a bunch of words that you don't mean. I want people to understand that this podcast is not just for my benefit, because I obviously struggle with a lot of things myself and I want to use my time better, but I also want you guys to improve as well. And so if I can get the chance, I would love to have other people come on with me and we can discuss different issues. So that means interviews and getting to know the audience and people that watch my videos more, because, that's something that I enjoy. I love learning and talking to other people, especially testimonies. I actually love watching testimonies. I actually watched a testimony today of a guy that, had a terrible life. He got into drugs. He was a tattoo artist. He had tattoos all over his body. He had a Baphomet picture on his neck. He had the words "Do what thou wilt" tattooed across his chest. And anyways, he ended up coming to know God, and he was just giving his story and all the things that happened to him until the point that he was able to find God. And it completely changed his life. And he has been so thankful and happy since. And the girlfriend that he had, his relationship has only grown since they've been able to come to know Christ, because they both, got introduced to Christ at about the same time. And the thing is, she was a prostitute, his girlfriend, so both of them didn't have very pretty lives. Anyways, I love talking to people. I'm kind of an introvert. Obviously, no one can really tell that just by listening to a video. Or not, yeah, I guess listening to a video or just audio track if you're listening off of SoundCloud. But I'm more of an introvert person. But I love talking to people. If I can have a meaningful, deep conversation with someone for a long period of time, not too many people, just a couple people, I can talk for hours. I can talk for hours upon hours about something that, someone else is passionate about, something I'm also passionate about. And, whether it's just knowing someone's story, trying to help someone, trying to bring someone to Christ, talking about an issue that's in the world, but not only just talking about the issue. And here's the thing, I want to bring up an interesting point that I don't like about a lot of different issues that people bring up. This is conspiracy theories, this is Christianity, people just bringing up a problem and then not resolving it. And that's the thing, what I don't want to do here. If I'm bringing up an issue, I would love to try and find a solution. Obviously, I'd be like, oh yeah, well, just go to God, all solutions solved there. But obviously, there's a little bit more, a little bit more meaning to that. There's still a way of solving problems. There's still a way of figuring out person's philosophy. Not philosophy, person's psychology, and then understanding where they're coming from and being able to work around that and help that individual grow from the problems that they've been having. But this is where this podcast is kind of just me talking about the different issues that I would love to discuss. So if I can get you guys on, that is a beautiful thing that I would love to do. And I know there's a couple of you guys that have actually asked, like, oh, could I get onto a video? Could we do a video together? I'd love to talk to you. And, this is your chance. Talk to me. Hit me up on here or anywhere. I don't know. I got rid of my Facebook, so you can't really connect to me on Facebook anymore. But if you really want to go into somewhere quick, although I'm not on there enough, so you might not even be able to connect with me, rect.network. My username's SandwichMan. I'm not on there very much, like I said, but it's a small little network of people We like talking on there. But once again, you can just hit me up in the comments. But I would like to get to know you guys first before I, just shoot you out onto the line, because you guys could just start rambling about nothing. Obviously, I could just not put that on my podcast, but I would rather have an actual meaningful and, topic and conversation with you guys rather than just talk about nothing. So what else? What else am I going to be having in this podcast? Discussing books, possibly. If I have a book that I would like to talk about, such as the one about Roman history, which I still haven't finished it. It's a massive book. It's not just about Roman history. It talks about Protestant Reformation and also American history. Basically, it compares Rome with America. And it's an interesting book, but it's absolutely massive. It's probably one of my biggest books in my shelf, and it's just annoying because I'll read it and then I'll just be like, this is just way too much, and I just put it on the shelf. But I'm about 1/3 through, and it just gets too much. So discussing current events, I already have that, and stories. I'd like to, you guys, if you're willing, tell your story. And if you really want it on the air, I can put it on the air. Maybe it could help someone else. And I would like to tell some of my stories. Obviously, that's just going to go along with the podcast. I could literally be talking about something and obviously remind me of something. I'm not just going to go completely off track, off the rails like this podcast is. I would like to actually have it a little bit more organized than a lot of my some videos are, because my videos they can go all over the place sometimes, and it's quite hilarious because people will point out in the comments, they'll be like, maybe you should write a actual list, an actual script to follow rather than just blabbering on the entire video, because it just gets long and boring. But that's why I like the podcast format, because I love blabbering on. Despite what people say, I kind of like having that type of attitude in a video. Maybe you guys don't, but that's the type of things I like. Those are the type of podcasts I enjoy, is listening to someone blabbering on and not caring if they get a few errors here and there, and maybe they have to re-explain something because they haven't, explained it the best way possible. I enjoy that, and that's what I want to do. If you guys don't enjoy this, I'll just try to make it as professional as possible, but also still having it where I am free to talk in a manner that doesn't restrict me to writing an entire script and then using that for a podcast, because that would be an insanely long podcast, or short podcast for that matter, because my hands would just get tired of writing, or I guess you could say typing. But that's the format that you can really expect from this podcast. And I would hope that you guys would like it. And if you don't, like I said, I hope you do. But there's always obviously other channels that probably will do the same thing as I do, if not better. But I still want to make you guys happy with the content that I put out. And hopefully you do understand that this is something that I'm not going to just blurt out. I'm not just going to blurt out random information. This is something that I want you guys to understand, because these are things that I have found benefit for me. And once again, I want to gain more benefit, because we all have our struggles and things to learn. Sometimes we have to learn it over and over and over and over and over, because we just can't understand the first time, or don't want to listen the first time. So that's where I'm at. And I'm just trying to get back into the root of things, of recognizing that my life isn't my own and I shouldn't just do whatever I want. Yeah, I know, I even go with that cycle. We all go through that cycle of just doing what we want. It's human nature. It goes against the law of God. It sucks, but we have to go against it. If we don't, we're just going to be like the dead fish that, goes along with the flow. We might think hang loose is cool, but if you're a dead fish floating down the river, I don't think hanging loose is very cool. Usually it's the ones that battle up the river that, are the ones alive, because, they're going up a freaking river. So, yeah. Hopefully you guys have a good one. This is Jared Molyneux. Hopefully you will come see my next podcast. Peace out.